You know how I know you're gay?
Because I'm watching Halloween Ends. I got really worried when they changed the plan because they said the pandemic, but it really didn't matter. You could have had all three movies set on the same night. And I got really worried when they said, okay, we're changing the plan for Halloween Ends. There's gonna be a time jump, and then we're gonna finish this trilogy. And I was really worried because when anytime you're watching a horror movie, you suspend disbelief because that's what we do. It's a horror movie. It's fantastical, like fantasy. But to think, okay, Michael Myers breaks out 15 years. Okay, let me start from the beginning. Michael Myers kills Judith on Halloween. He gets sentenced to go to the crazy house. 15 years later, he breaks out on Halloween. And then 40 years later, he breaks out on Halloween. I can suspend disbelief and say, okay, all that happened. But okay, now I got to wait 4 more years and Michael Myers is back. I'm like, no, because that ain't happening. That ain't happening. So I immediately started this movie, or the process of getting ready for this movie, with a negative mindset, because I was like, okay, this is going to be terrible. What can they do? I'm hearing too many buzzwords that I don't like. John Carpenter comes out and goes, well, I've seen it, and it's definitely Halloween, and it definitely ends. Pay me. And we've started all three of these reviews off the same way, or these retrospectives, whatever we want to call them. When I sat down on Peacock again, opening night, and watched it, I told you about Halloween Kills. I came away with an uneasy feeling, sort of like, what have I just watched? But when I watched Halloween Ends and the credits rolled, I was like, that's a good movie. I'm thinking, what did I just see? But I know I saw a good movie. Does that make sense?
It does make sense. And, I try not to let the internet persuade me on how I feel about a trailer, about a movie. When I go into it, it was all negative. And I came away with this thinking, wow, I just watched a really good story. And Ronnie, I don't know if it's just because I've watched these 3 days in a row now.
Yeah.
This is a 3-part story that takes place over 4 years, and I think it's outstanding. I'm in the minority, and I will gladly stay there alone. I like Halloween Ends. I think it's a really good story. Sure, there are some things that you could change about it, but the thing that people are upset about Michael Myers and stuff like that. Like I could argue that there's a better argument for why he's like that than the way he is in the original trilogies. I mean, this one makes sense. This one has a story behind it. This one, I can tell you exactly why he's in the sewer and he's not doing nothing, and he can barely move, and he's not the focus of the movie. This is a really good story, and I'm almost positive it has even deeper meaning than I can understand, because I see a lot of things. Like there's a lot of infection talk in this movie, and I'm thinking that is a deeper meaning. Maybe I'm not educated enough to understand. A lot of infection talk in the beginning, a lot of infection talk after Corey turns evil.
Yeah.
Rohan Campbell, I don't know if he's done anything since. Ronnie, outside of the big three, and by big three I mean Myers, Laurie, and Loomis, Rohan Campbell is a top 3 character in the entire franchise. For me, the evolution of his character that we get in this one movie is fantastic. This became the Corey Cunningham show, and I thought he played every part of it really, really good. I wanted Corey Cunningham to be in every scene, like I wanted Michael Myers to be in every scene in Halloween Kills.
They give us the Laurie talk at the beginning. They show scenes from 1, 2, and H-18 and Halloween Kills, and she talks about how she lost her daughter. I thought the nerve of this woman, and we'll get to the opening here in a minute, but I just want to talk about Jamie Lee Curtis before I forget. The nerve of this woman to go, after 40 years, I was proven right as he escaped. No, you weren't proven right. You said he was going to come after you, not that he was going to come after Haddonfield. She pivoted and turned on that. But she's writing a book. And part of me thought at the end of this movie, it's Laurie writing a book and none of this is going to have happened. They didn't go that route, but that would have been a brave choice as well. But these guys threw their balls out there, Blake, and they did something different. And what we got to see was a fan base turn on a movie after the first week. Nobody went back to watch it. You know, a part of that's because, you know, it's on Peacock. But this one made the lowest amount of any of the trilogy. And it was because of such bad word of mouth. And I don't know why there was word of mouth. Well, I guess I do. Every Halloween fan wants the same movie over and over. They want Halloween 1978, where Michael stalks, because most fans are too ignorant to realize that after a couple of movies, there's no need to stalk anymore because we know what is stalking.
Yeah.
And it's just at that point, we got to give you something new, which is just attacking. Michael does stalk in this movie. They just don't show it. There's multiple times, or there's one time they do show it where Corey goes to get laid and Michael is standing by the tree staring at Laurie because he followed Corey, and as fate would have it, it led him to where Jamie Lee Curtis lived and where Allison lived. Two people that put a freaking beating on him 4 years earlier. Two people that are probably the reason he's walking around like a universal monster when we first see him in the sewer. Half his body doesn't work properly. At the end of it, people are complaining because of a refrigerator pinned him to the table. If you didn't notice, he only had one powerful leg that he could use. The other leg he's been dragging and barely walking on the whole movie with that whole left side of his body. And they told us in 2018, we're going to make him human. And by the end of Kills, we were like, they lied to us because there's no way he could survive that. Well, he did. And he drug himself into a sewer, but he's in such bad shape in this movie that he's having to rely on somebody, a friend, to help him. And that friend leads him back to Laurie Strode. I think the complaints about this movie are that it's not, because they complained about Halloween Kills. You got nothing but Michael Myers. And in this one, they made a horror movie that Michael Myers shows up in, you know, halfway through. So
Ronnie, would you say 2018? Would you say that's the Laurie show?
Yes.
20 Kills is the Michael show.
Michael show.
And Laurie's in the background.
Mm-hmm.
This one, Michael's in the background, and it's really the Corey Cunningham show.
And Allison.
And Allison, yeah. But mostly Corey. And would you say it's more Allison or Laurie?
I think this is Allison's story.
Okay.
I mean, obviously the movie's centered around Corey Cunningham becoming a psychotic. This is Allison's story. She's trying to recover. We join her in progress after dating a Mulaney, and she's just trying to find somebody that she can relate to. And it just so happens, as fate would have it, Laurie introduces her to Corey and ruins her effing life. Here's some more evil for you. Have some more sloppy joes.
I made them extra sloppy for you.
But yeah, this is the Corey Cunningham and the Allison story, mostly Corey Cunningham. And then at the end of it, just so people wouldn't be really pissed, here's your Michael versus Laurie that you've been bitching about for 4 years. Here you go.
So in 78, that movie is mostly tension. I mean, nothing really happens first 45 minutes. It's mostly tension. Hey, we see this guy's escaped. We think it's this guy wearing a mask. You know, they could swerve us, prom night style. He's walking around. What's he going to do? Like, that's the tension. What is he going to do? What is he waiting on, and what's he going to do? This movie, it's very similar to me. The tension is building with Corey. Like, how much can this kid take? How much can he take? And what's going to happen? Like, we all feel like a snap is coming, but we also know in the background, we got Laurie Strode, we got Allison, we got Michael Myers still out there. Like, where is this going? It's building tension up to that last 25 minutes. I just think as part of a story, this is really as good as it's going to get in a horror franchise, like a
Yes.
slasher franchise, like Friday 13th, Elm Street. I mean, look at the storytelling we get in those other Halloween sequels. This 1, 2, 3. I'm sorry, not 1, 2, 3. This David Gordon Green Blumhouse trilogy, the writing from start to finish, I think it is fantastic, man. It is really well done.
They start this movie off, and then we're not going scene by scene because I got a lot of questions I want to ask, and everybody knows how this movie starts.
Yeah.
It starts in 2019, a year after the events of Halloween 2018 and Halloween Kills. A kid named Corey Cunningham who's looking to get into engineering school. He's smart, bright future. He's going to babysit for this family. He's going to babysit Jeremy, who's a little shithead. The mother says since last year, he hasn't been able to sleep properly because he's having nightmares since Michael Myers disappeared. So the beginning of this movie is filled with tons of tension and creepiness because we don't know what's fixing to happen. Is Michael Myers fixing to show back up because it's Halloween 1 year later? No, they swerve us, and Corey accidentally kicks the door into the kid, and he falls 3 stories and breaks his neck and dies in front of his parents.
And Ronnie, like another little tidbit that I don't think I noticed my first watch, but I did on this rewatch. Right as the mom walks in and Corey kicks open the door, Corey yells, "I'm gonna kill you." And then he falls over the stairs. So of course, what are the parents supposed to think? They hear, "I'm gonna kill you." He's standing up there holding a knife. Their kid's laying dead on the floor. I do wish we would have got a little more talk about the trial. The trial is mentioned one time. The trial of Corey Cunningham. I see your eyes moving back and forth like Chuck on Ernest.
No, I sat my Diet Coke bottle down, and when I did, it did the whole rocking back and forth, and I was trying to make sure it wasn't going to pour on the mixer here.
Okay.
I think the mixer's on its last legs anyway. Just FYI, a lot of these 31 days that we filmed, there's random parts in the recording where it just like speeds up the lips or it's like distortion. So if any of you guys have watched, and not many of you have this month, there's certain parts in each video where the audio doesn't sync up with the lip movements. And it's because I think my Rodecaster is finally about to bite the dust, or I have a cord, crimped or primped, whatever the damn word is, somewhere.
I wish we would have got a little more talk on the trial of Corey Cunningham. I thought that would have been interesting. The father mentions it in the bar. He's like, "I knew at the trial he didn't murder my son. He wasn't that kid." But yeah, this opening, I do like this opening, Ronnie. But I think it's the weakest of the 3.
Well, when you factor in, I agree. But when you factor in what it's setting up,
yeah,
it might be the most important of the 3.
Yep, that's very true.
Because it does lead to something. Say something in 2018, as cool as it was, led to nothing. And just Halloween Kills, that's just perfection. Showing him getting caught in 78. That's just perfection with the freeze. But this one is setting the stage for what's going to happen. And my first question to you, Blake, what is more horrifying to you? Michael Myers, who we don't know why he did what he did or turned into what he turned into, or Corey Cunningham, and we know how he turned into what he turned into because the town needed a boogeyman, like his crazy ass mother said, and the town just looked down on him and treated him like shit until it came to a breaking point, and he had a psychotic break and went crazy. Which is more terrifying? Knowing that people caused a good kid to turn into a maniac killer, or just thinking that somebody might have been born f***ed up and retarded, and that's the reason they became a killer?
I think it's scarier to know that any good person at any point in time can be turned if pushed enough. Like you said, I mean, anybody can be born a retard. who loves eating dogs and screwing. You know, Corey was a good kid who come from what appears to be a rough family. Maybe they didn't have a lot of money. Maybe it wasn't the best childhood. I don't know. Obviously, the mother was affected by what happened in the trial. Clearly, he does seem to have a very good, loving stepfather.
David Gordon Green gave away pre-movie what he used his motivation for to make Halloween Ends. Obviously, we made tons of videos about Christine. You know, Arnie Cunningham or whatever the that guy's name is, edit. And this is Corey Cunningham. And there's a lot of shit at the junkyard, like at the end of Christine. And everybody told me, Nick Push included, there ain't nothing at the junkyard. And then guess what happens? They shred this mother up in the junkyard. Anyway, before you interrupt, I got a point, I promise. Not just making fun of Nick Push. He said that Christine was motivation for this movie, and he named 2 other movies, My Bodyguard, and I think it's Butcher Baker Candlestick Maker or something like that. So I watched both of those movies before I watched Halloween Ends because I'm trying to do content and things like that. And the Butcher Baker Nightmare Maker, or whatever the name of that movie is, I'll put it at the bottom. No, I really won't because there won't be much editing. It involved a guy who had a mother that was way too controlling. Almost the mother was trying to molest him. And that's where the close mother in this one comes in. And My Bodyguard was all about a geek that befriends a kid that supposedly killed somebody to help protect him from bullies at a school. So I sort of pieced together what was going to happen, especially when they gave that interview where it was just a white background of, you know, David Gordon Green and Jamie Lee Curtis. And he goes, Michael makes a friend. And when he says, you know, when he alluded to that, I was like, okay, so now we have an idea of what's going to happen here. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I mean, I was just saying that, like, in the intro after the Cunningham part, when it goes to Laurie typing her story, we kind of get some quick shots, and they do the thing, Ronnie, where they show some pivotal locations that's going to show up later in the movie. They show some devices that's going to show up later in the movie. We do see the Bone Cruncher 9000 or whatever it's called that Michael ends up in.
Industrial Shredder. I looked it up, and my note says, believe it or not, Blake, this is the second time I've watched this movie. Once on opening night, and I've never revisited the entire movie. But I didn't realize how many times they show the Industrial Shredder throughout the movie. They are letting you know, they're foreshadowing, hey, we're going to use this later on.
Yeah, they show the fence that the girl's trapped under. They show the welding rod that he later puts in someone's mouth. We see the radio tower and the radio station a couple of times. We see the bridge quite a good bit because now we know the sewer's underneath it. Yeah, I like little things like that. They do that in a few other movies. But, you know,
What happened?
Shit on my jacket. You're a big scenery guy.
Yeah.
You're an atmosphere guy. I don't really pick up on that very much, but the atmosphere and the tone this entire movie, it's a big deal when you see people smiling and happy. What few scenes you get of that, because the tone is so dreadful, maybe is the word I'm looking for. But Ronnie, even in the daytime shots, even in the daylight, it doesn't look daylight, right? Like
No.
it's very dreary.
Yes.
And that really got to me too. Like, happiness is nowhere to be found in this town. And I think I texted you this note, took quite a few notes. We get a scene in the grocery store where Laurie and Hawkins are sharing a good moment. You know, some awkward flirting. It's clear they don't know how to flirt. Just smiling at each other. It's good to see you. I would like to see you, you know. And you're like, wow, what a nice moment. And then immediately it gets ruined. Someone in the parking lot of that grocery store sees Laurie smiling. She's like, what you smiling at? What'd you buy, huh? And then they remind her everything that happened was her fault. They brought them right back down. And later on, I'm finna hand it off to you. Later on, there's a scene where you finally get to see Corey Cunningham smile. Allison convinces him to go to a bar and he's dancing, and it's some weird ass dancing. I'll give him that. If that's what the dance scene is like now, I never make it. But he's on the floor. That guy's bars are filthy. He's on the floor of that bar. Anyway, he's smiling. He's having a good time, and you're like, "Wow, this is a good scene." And then he sees Jeremy's mother at the bar,
Yeah,
and it brings him right back to reality. What'd you think?
I thought I didn't like anybody in Haddonfield.
Mm-hmm. Was
Seems
that
like
the intent, though?
it might have been. I think that everybody that they show from Haddonfield is a shithead. The shithead outside the grocery store was Sandra. And I think a part of this is the disinformation that's coming from the radio. Like the movie starts with radio with 94.9 WURGE or whatever that is. The radio is constantly spitting out fake news, if you will, about Michael Myers' theories. And these people in town believe it. So there's a different story for everybody when it comes to Laurie Strode. Like this woman says you teased him and he got out or whatever. And now Sandra can't talk anymore. She got stabbed in the neck. Why can't she walk? That's exactly what I would have said. Everybody in Haddonfield in this movie, not our central characters, are shitheads. And they're there to suck the happiness out of the main characters. So somebody can say it's the town's fault.
Yeah.
I mean, that everything is the way it is. They wanted another Michael Myers so bad they created it in Corey. And you're absolutely right. I never put that two things together. Laurie has a smiling moment. That's not her trying to act like Betty White talking about take your out and stuff like that. She has a nice moment with Hawkins and he gets ruined immediately. Corey, against his better wishes, goes out with Allison into public, which he's been avoiding, and immediately is met with Jeremy's mother. So it's impossible for him to make a life there, but at the same time, that family situation is not allowing him to leave because that's a sick family situation that probably would have led to him being a serial killer anyway, to be honest, before the Michael bump. But yeah, I agree with that. This whole town is dreary. I thought you were going to bring up the fact that there's a homeless camp for some reason in Haddonfield, and there's just trash and shit everywhere. And I think that's an overall symbolism for how the town is now. It's trashed up. I mean, we get those scenes at the very beginning of it where we see Oscar's mom. We did a video about that. Oscar's mom has got into Oscar's costume and hung herself. But there's also two people in a Jeep that have bullet holes in their head. Did they commit suicide, Blake, or were they murdered?
It seems to be that they were murdered, and they said
Hawkins
asked Hawkins, "Was this Myers?" And he goes, "Myers don't use a gun."
Yeah, I didn't know if they committed suicide or if somebody had robbed and killed them, but it looked like a suicide setup because they were leaned into each other. So I didn't know if it was people that had lost somebody or what. But this town's all messed up.
Hey, you had a good line earlier, Ronnie, and I want to verify that with Corey's mom has a line echoing what you said when she's talking to Laurie. She said they couldn't find your boogeyman and kill him, so the town turned my son into the new boogeyman. I thought that was a great line because that broke Laurie down too.
Yeah, she got out of there after that. I mean, Corey actually has a moment where he's going to try to drink a little chocolate milk and he never gets to because something always happens.
Well, they were rude to him in the store. Are you going to buy something? It's the whole town. He can't go anywhere. Corey Cunningham, best looking person in this movie?
No. Jeremy's dad's really good looking.
Really?
I mean, Corey Cunningham has a look about him. He's a two-face because from certain angles, he's uglier. He's ugly. And from certain angles, he's stud. Corey Cunningham's, Jeremy's dad, post train conductor outfit later in the movie, not a bad older looking guy. Hawkins, we've talked about this before. I was floored when I saw him in the grocery store.
Yeah.
I was floored at how much makeup they had to put on him to make him. He looked like claymation. He has aged. Will Patton has aged so much since 2018. He was barely recognizable. He looked 90 years old.
So one of my negative notes about this movie, Ronnie, and there's not very many, is I didn't think we got enough Hawkins. But when I saw Hawkins in the grocery store And in the parking lot, I'm like, maybe I get it. You know, I was just, and you were the same way. I was just so intrigued with Hawkins and Kills, his entire story, and what this is culminating to for him. And you're right, man. He was like Cyphers in this one, wasn't he?
Yeah, he looked bad, but I think I can fix that for you.
Okay.
His whole conversation with Laurie was about, I've let everything go. I'm retired. I'm playing guitar. I'm learning Japanese. I'm eating all this meat in this buggy. I don't care. I've let it go. I've let all of this go. I don't care. It's not, ruling my life anymore. And if you want to come hang out, I miss you, and we can hang out and have a good time, because Laurie did a 180. And I know there's a lot of fan criticism about Laurie doing the 180, but it's also explained. Laurie said that, for 40 years, she was prepared to fight Michael Myers. And after she saw what it done, and after her daughter and son-in-law died, now she can put that away, and she can pretend, or, focus all her attention on being there for Allison. There's no more time and it seems like this would be the time, when Michael on the loose, that you would really go Sarah Connor mode. But she did a 180 and just said, I'm going to take care of Allison and make sure Allison's okay. And I'll keep a couple of guns around here. And if I need to, I'll be okay. But I'm going to focus all my attention now on my granddaughter, and not selfishly on me and my trauma from Michael Myers. And I get it. A lot of people said that should have been the way she's acting in 2018, and it should have led to the Sarah Connor thing at the end of it. But I like the way it is right now.
It's better. It's better like this. I wanted to talk about Allison liked Corey before she even met him, Ronnie. She has a throwaway line like, when I read about him, I knew I wanted to meet him. I always wanted to meet him and talk to him. And then you brought him to me. So let me ask you this, tying this whole, web together, is Laurie introducing Allison and Corey Cunningham fate?
Yeah. She brought more evil into her family's life.
That is just so well done, man.
One of the best lines in the movie is Corey. Corey obviously is antisocial, don't want to talk, and Allison is flirting with him as hard as she can, and she goes, "You got some shit on your back. Turn around."
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You have shit on your back.
I thought that, I don't know why that popped me.
Because it's normal.
You got some shit on your back. And then the DJ popped me by saying, "Y'all get out of here before I y'all up."
Get off my property before I y'all up.
That was
I love that. I love that. Let me get to a negative I have, Ronnie.
Okay, before you get to that negative, can I throw a little happiness at you?
Throw some happiness at me.
When all the theory videos about what Nick Castle's role would be in this movie, all the people that went in depth with 45-minute videos about what Nick Castle could possibly do, would he be the Michael Myers, without a mask, homeless looking Michael Myers, and David Gordon Green puts him as a flasher at the party. And it was the best cameo ever. And probably because I could just hear people going, "God damn." I mean, it's the best, though.
Yeah.
That's one of the most memorable parts of this movie, is knowing the guy that played Michael Myers was a drunk flasher to everybody at this party. I loved it. I laughed today when I saw it again. I was like, man, I remember so many theories on YouTube about people saying this and that. And it was just great. I don't know why I loved it, probably because it pissed everybody off, but I enjoyed the piss out of it.
It was just another great scene. He flashes. He gives the Linda line, "See anything you like?" And then Corey Cunningham does the Michael Myers. He looks at him and goes, I love it, man.
I'm still
In
listening.
Kills, I cared when Cameron died.
Yeah.
I cared when Lonnie Elam died.
Yeah.
I cared, and I'm in the minority on this one, when Tommy Doyle died.
Me too.
I cared when Big John and Little John died.
Yes.
I don't care about anybody that Corey Cunningham or Michael Myers kills in this movie.
I wanted every one of them mother effers dead.
You want them all to die. The only one that you don't want to die is not killed by Corey or Michael. He's killed by the band nerd with one eyebrow, and that's Corey's stepfather.
Yeah.
And Corey's stepfather, by the way, sees that the guy has a gun and still stands up in front of his stepson. What a guy.
Yeah, he's a good part. He's a good character in this movie. Doesn't he tell him about something about love or something at the
I hope
table?
you find love. This was after his mother just completely slapped him and just down talked him and then walked away. And the stepdad just looked at him and goes, I really hope you find love, man.
All these theories about the radio tower and, the radio tower being put into, digitally put into Halloween Kills and all that. And really what we get is that throwaway line of Corey looking at the radio tower once she gets that stuff off his back. And then he talks about later on when they're on top of the radio station, that's where he would come and just stare at the radio tower whenever after the incident happened, hoping everything would get back to normal. I know there's supposedly 100 endings out there with Michael getting impaled by the radio tower and all that. But in the final version we got, that's the radio tower talk.
Yeah.
And just think of the countless videos that were going on out there about people with their theories and radio waves and stuff like that. And all it really is a place that Corey Cunningham went to look at and pray to God that his life would get back to normal. Anyway, back to these people. I'm going to throw this in because we're already deep into this review. The scenes where Corey is Michael Myers, if that's Rohan Campbell, and I tried my best to do research, if that's Rohan Campbell underneath the mask, that's one of the top Michael Myers performances in the franchise. If it's a stuntman, okay. Whoever the stuntman is,
good job.
That's one of the best Michael Myers in the franchise. Once he puts the mask on, the walk looks like 78. The arms draped looks like 78. The sitting up, I mean, I love the little nod to him falling off the radio and then sitting up like Michael Myers. But everything he does as Michael Myers, if that's Rohan Campbell, is top notch. The kills when he becomes Michael Myers, when he gets the mask, are second to none.
Yeah,
because he lures the band geeks back to the junkyard, and he stabs the mullet guy in the eye and kills him. What he does to those is amazing. That big running over her trying to climb that fence made me cackle and then go, yes. Then the other girl that was mean to him and slapping at him when he wouldn't buy him beer, he killed her. And then the scene where he finally gets the asshole and he takes the blowtorch to his mouth. I've said brutal a lot these last 3 reviews. It's one of the most horrifying deaths in this franchise.
And the way it's filmed, it's out of focus, but you can still see it. You're right, Ronnie. That's really good. Corey had a throwaway line to that kid on the bridge too, Ronnie. He said, I know when somebody hates somebody. When people look at me, I know if they hate me or not. And your dad hates you. I thought that was really great because not only did it affect that band nerd, but everyone hates Corey. And the emotion that Corey has to keep inside as everyone looks at him when he walks through town or rides his bike through town, man, that's a lot for a young kid to deal with.
Why did Michael drag him into the sewer?
So that was a question I was going to propose to you. The homeless man was curious about it too. He said, "Wait a minute, why did he let you live?"
Exactly, that's what I got written down.
Did Michael bring him in there and was going to eat him?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Has Michael been living off human bodies?
Yeah,
I don't know if
missing bodies that we see in Haddonfield. Yeah,
the homeless guy brings it up. Why'd he let you out of there? And I think in the book version, I think Pat and Brett talked about, making eye contact sort of transferred the evil or opened up the evil in Corey. But Corey comes back later after he kills that homeless guy, and he asks Allison, did Michael let you live or did you escape? And I thought that was a good question that I just never realized because he was trying to get meaning behind, why'd he let me live? He grabbed me by the throat. Why'd he let me live? He could have killed me. What's going on here? And did he do the same to you? And if he just let you live, what do we have in common that he didn't want to kill? And she's like, my mother saved me. I thought that was a fascinating question. And I think that I like having that unknown there. This guy's slowly descending into madness. He's slowly losing his mind. Myers gets mentioned we only see Myers with Corey. And of course, Laurie's talking about Myers. But what if at the end of the movie, we find out there's no Michael Myers, that Michael Myers died in Halloween Kills, and Corey has manifested Michael Myers there to help him go through with wanting to kill all these people. So he sees Michael Myers kill that chick that's banging the doctor, but it's really him killing her. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He sees Michael come up to kill the Mulaney, but it's really him. And at the end, we get it's been him all along, and we could get a quick little
Fight Club type recap where it was just him the whole time.
Yeah, where it's like, the body was found 4 years ago. We found his body, on the other side of town. He was dead. Michael Myers is dead. And we just realized he's just been seeing that in, his messed up mind. I know. And that probably would have pissed people off too. But, Vinny always had the idea that Corey Cunningham should have been in a field, and he comes up on Michael Myers' dead body, where the body, he just wandered out and died somewhere after he took that beating. And Corey Cunningham takes the mask off of him and is killing people as Michael Myers throughout the movie. I don't know if I like that now, because I like the version that we got.
I do too. I really do. A lot of people, Ronnie, have issues with Corey and how he gets the mask from Michael Myers.
Okay, so here's my deal. That people bitch about that scene. So here's my defense to that scene. We know Myers is a broken man. Okay, I know he did the whole, oh baby, I got a whenever he killed that one guy. All right, but and he got a little bit of his posture back, but he's still a broken down old man that can barely move. He's got burst of strength in him. But here's the deal.
He's 65 years old now.
Yeah, a fresh Michael Myers was defeated by a 17-year-old Laurie Strode in 1978.
Thank you.
Michael Myers was defeated. Let's go back to Halloween 4 if we're going to keep into that one. Michael Myers was defeated by a small child and another teen girl. In Halloween 5, Michael Myers was thwarted by the little girl and a 90-year-old man. Halloween 6, Myers was defeated by Stones and Paul Rudd. H2O, Michael was defeated by a woman who is mid-40s with an axe. In Resurrection, he's going to get killed on the rooftop by her, and Busta Rhymes kicks him in the dick to beat him. Rob Zombie, this dude's 8 foot tall, and he's beaten by Scout, what's her face?
Yeah.
And he is beaten by somebody inferior in every movie. And in this movie, there's a valid excuse why Corey goes in there. Corey has decided, I'm going to kill these people. He's put his plan in place. Allison, meet me here at this time. He's carved into those people's cars, Psycho or whatever, but he needs this mask to finish his plan. So he goes in there, and whatever relationship he's got with Michael or not, he tries to overpower Michael and get that mask. And you can see Myers overpowers him back and forth. And then the stamina issue becomes a thing. And Myers trips on the bad leg and falls to the ground. And remember, only one side's working, to full capacity. And he pulls the mask off, and he's explaining to him the whole time, I need this mask. And then he gets mean at the end. You're not the boogeyman. You're just a guy with a mask. And he pulls it off and he leaves because he thinks now he's the boogeyman. He thinks he's the evil, and he's got to have this to fulfill his plan. Okay.
You mentioned bad leg.
Yes.
One eye.
Yes.
One hand.
Yep.
And I didn't do enough research, Ronnie, but how many stab wounds and gunshot wounds combined with lack of nutrition and 65 years old? It makes the most sense out of any of the movies.
Here's another question for you, because I'm going to forget to ask you. At the end of the movie, does Michael get blamed for all these kills that Corey does?
Yes.
Because on the TV, they were like, Michael Myers is, killed. And then they're showing the pictures of the people Corey killed up there like they were victims of Michael Myers. So did Corey get away with that scot-free and really is just, to be honest with you, not even Laurie or Allison know how many people Corey killed. To them, it's like Myers did all this too. So they just, Laurie's story about him coming there to kill her is really all they know. So he doesn't get blamed.
Allison does say to her, I know Corey killed those people, Grandma.
Okay, so sort of fast forwarded through that part of the end. I want to go straight to the cherry blossoms.
But Ronnie, I want to address this before we close it out. I had someone text me whenever you announced that we were doing this about ends, and they said that movie is not only the worst in the franchise, but it ruined the legacy of Michael Myers.
No.
And after I called him a loser, I said, what legacy are we talking about here? What are you talking about? In part 2, he gets his eyeballs shot out and he burns up. Part 4, somehow his eyes grow back, but his burns are still bad enough to wear gauze. In part 5, I guess he went to the tattoo shop and got him a thorn tattoo on his hand. I'm not supposed to see his eyeballs, but I'm seeing his eyes. He's crying in part 5 like a pussy. He's somehow
part 6, he's dropping.
He's got telekinesis or whatever it's called with Jamie Lloyd. I mean, they can communicate with their minds. In part 6, he's gained 100 pounds. He's pounding ass with his niece. He's going to Lamaze class with her for 9 months till she delivers their baby. And you're going to talk about the legacy of Michael Myers? Get out of here, you fruit. This is the best story of the shape that you're going to get.
These are the bravest filmmakers and writers that have ever tackled a Halloween movie because they had the balls to do something different. They had the balls to create their own horror movie inside of a Michael Myers movie.
And it's a complete story, Ronnie. There's no incompletion. There's no holes in there like there are with that other crap that we got in the 80s, 90s, and 2000s. It's a start to finish, a complete story. Now, you may not be a fan of that story, but it's still a good story that makes sense. And these are 3 really good movies.
Here's another one. Corey takes the Jeremy bump at the end of it. He falls off the stairwell down to the floor. So it all comes full circle at the end. Here's a question. Here's one thing that I don't understand and you're not going to be able to explain to me. They do the whole fake Laurie suicide thing. So my question to you is, why would they do that? 2, did she know he was in the house? Because if she knows he's in the house, then it makes sense that she calls the cops because she knows he's listening and says, hey, there's been a suicide at her address. And then she shoots the pumpkin. But why are we trying to make the audience think that she's going to kill herself? And it has to be. I've answered my own question. She knew he was in there because then he opens the door and she's standing there and she goes, "Do you really think I'd kill myself?" And then she shoots him like 4 times before he does the Jeremy bump over the railing and down to the floor.
I don't have an answer to that. I assumed one of the reasons she called it in, not only to get police there, but, and by the way, how the hell long did it take for the police to get there? Jesus Christ.
Ever.
But if you notice, Hawkins calls Allison right away and says, we got a suicide call at your grandma's place. So I thought maybe that might have been the reason she made that call, because she knew Hawkins would reach out to her and, because she couldn't get a hold of Allison at that point. Yeah, I had that same question when I watched it earlier. It's like, wait a minute, what? She knew he was there? Did she? I don't know. Really didn't understand that part, but Corey still won. He still won in the end.
That plan was brilliant.
If I can't have her, nobody can. And he stabs himself as Allison's about to walk in. Laurie grabs the knife, and it looks like she killed Corey, just like it looked like Corey killed Jeremy.
Yeah. Laurie's like, no, you son of a bitch. I know what you're trying to. She's like, here's the deal. That I thought that DJ was going to him up, but the DJ got the worst beating ever. He bashed that face against that thing over and over, and it's sort of comical when he pulls him up because one of the teeth, a tooth falls from the top, and his jaw's all dislocated, and he cuts his damn tongue off with a pair of scissors. That is some Saw type shit that went on in there. Can I repeat? that if that was Rohan Campbell doing the mannerisms, he is great. He is great. Whoever the stuntman was, he is great. That's the closest that we've gotten to Nick Castle since Nick Castle. I know everybody talks about James Drew Courtney, and he's great. Don't get me wrong. A lot of greats being thrown around. But I think people are sleeping on Rohan Campbell under the mask because those are good. I got another question for you. I thought it was really sad and like almost heartbreaking how much time he spends in Jeremy's house now that it's abandoned. He goes there and just sits there and stares at the blood stain on the wood floor. He gives Allison the full story about everything that happened. But there's a scene that I've seen multiple people try to interpret. He wakes up from sleeping by the bloodstain and Laurie's there. And Laurie's pretty much saying, just leave Allison alone. And she's talking about the two different types of evil that you're born with and the evil that consumes you. So, and then she goes, we're both effed up talking to him. I always thought that he was imagining her there. I always thought that she was never there because she's gone like that. And I thought that was his psyche. Pretty much the good Corey's gone. And this was because the plan starts after this meeting. He starts calling people. I thought that was the last bit of goodness that he had inside of him, losing out to the evil that was taking over him. And he was just manifesting Laurie as his last little bit of good, saying, stay away from Allison. Don't get her sucked into your evil. And the evil's like, no, I am. But after doing a little research today on Reddit, because she shouldn't know about the paper airplane, right? From when he was babysitting. There was a paper airplane when he was babysitting, right?
Yeah.
She shouldn't know about that. So I still think it might have not been real. But in the next scene, Blake, that they show Laurie and Allison, she's got an effing airplane in her hand.
Yeah.
So how does she know about that?
Well, I mentioned that maybe not a lot of people knew what Michael looked like in Kills because that happened in 78 and there wasn't computer technology back then with social media and all that. Well, Ronnie, this happened in 2019. So maybe the case was very public and easily accessible for everyone. So different time, I guess, is the only argument I have for that.
It's amazing that Laurie calls in a suicide and then Corey kills himself.
Yeah.
So foreshadowing. Thought Michael's appearance at the end couldn't have gone any better. Corey dies, or we think he's dead. Allison gets out of there because she thinks her grandma killed her boyfriend. And she's sitting there crying and she hears something or senses something. And Michael just walks through the front door.
Yep.
And now he's there. She's not prepared. And it's back to hiding and all that. He gets the mask, and all of a sudden, here comes evil Corey back to life. And he grabs him by the head. And all of a sudden, there's no connection there anymore, Blake. He's looking evil in the eyes, and there's no connection like at the beginning of the movie. And now he's scared, and Michael breaks his neck. Now, I could be interpreting that completely wrong. And now it's Michael versus Laurie. And we get some stalking, some hiding, chasing, as everybody always wants. But I thought this was a second watch now, Blake. Thought this was a really good fight in this kitchen, and it makes sense that she's able to do what she's able to do because he's half a man. Now, I would argue he's crushing people's head with these feet 4 years ago. He should be able to break her neck with that boot, but he don't do it. But she also kicks his other leg out from underneath him. But the way she kills him is exactly the death that he deserved. She pins him to the table. The fridge helps hold him down. And she stabs him under the armpit into that artery. And it starts to bleed out. She slices his throat. She starts slitting his wrist, and then you get a cool scene of him just yanking his one good hand up through the knife, ruining that hand as he tries to strangle her. And for the longest time, people felt Jamie Lee Curtis had to die in this movie with Michael for it to make any sense. I never understood that because we want a happy ending. Who the hell wants a sad ending? And she's perfectly fine with him choking her to death as he dies. But Allison's back in there, and Allison breaks his damn arm against the side of the counter. And then he bleeds out with Laurie constantly cutting his wrist, and he's dead. And we get the parade through Haddonfield. They strap him to the top of their car, and you can hear cops in the background going, "This ain't the way we do things." And here comes Big Dog back up. I don't know how he's still the sheriff 4 years later, but he's like, "It's how we do it tonight." And everybody, and like I said, I hate the town of Haddonfield in this movie. I hate the town of Haddonfield. I feel nothing for them. So all the people that they show walking in this parade as they lead Michael to the junkyard, I've got nothing for them. But it is like big time symbolism of a town trying to heal, as the ghost, the boogeyman of their town, is being paraded around everybody. Guys, the evil, like Loomis says at the beginning of part 1, the evil's gone. The evil's gone from here. He's dead. Everybody's waiting for him to yank Laurie into the industrial shredder with him. I think that would have been a horrible choice. We just got rid of the boogeyman, and now it's on you. It's on Haddonfield. If you guys want to heal and become a good town again, go for it. But if you're going to keep blaming folks, you got nobody to blame but yourself now if you can't come out of this mess. At least that's the way I took it.
I 100% agree. I love this ending. I love this finale. I think it's a complete story, and the story's closed. And is it a happy ending? No, it's not. But that's real life. It's not always happy endings. Obviously, there's comparisons to Halloween 3 with the font and all that.
I like that they did that.
Ronnie, I really do think within 5 years, YouTube is going to be flooded with, Halloween Ends really not that bad. It's a pretty good movie. I would argue face to face or whatever with anybody about any sequel that it holds up against any of them. It's just a really good story.
Well, you got to be an idiot to tell somebody their opinion's wrong. Do you think the whole, the credits at the beginning and the credits at the end, similar to Halloween 3, is symbolism, letting fans know, we know you didn't like Halloween 3 back in the day, and you're probably not going to like this one right now, but down the line, you're going to love this son of a bitch because it's really a good movie. And look, they had to have their Michael fix in there, I understand. But what if it was just Corey in the Scarecrow mask killing people, and then at the end, Michael shows back up at Laurie's house? We just hadn't seen him the whole time. Corey's killing all these people on his own, and then here comes Michael, snaps Corey's neck, and then goes after Laurie. And then you got where the hell's Michael been? Why would he come back now? It's Halloween. It's been 4 years. What does that make it a better movie? I don't know, but there's so many things they could have done with it. But I love what they did with it. Dude, when he's killing, I almost said Dr. Wynn, but whatever that guy, Dr. Mathis, when he's killing him with that wine, that corkscrew, that's one of the nastiest deaths in the Halloween franchise because it looks like a snuff film. Like when somebody really gets killed, the realism in that is crazy. The Corey Cunningham kills in this movie are some of the best in the franchise. I'll stand by that. I mean, I don't care what somebody says. I don't give a shit if you like it or not. I liked it. My opinion to me is all that matters.
He's a damn good character. Rohan Campbell, we love you. Please come on the show.
He won't even respond back. At this point, we're not going to take him. Blake, 31 days are over, Blake.
Hey, can you rank the Blumhouse trilogy?
Sure. I'm going Halloween Kills, Halloween 2018, and Halloween Ends.
Okay. I got 2018, Ends, Kills.
I just love I thought Kills was a beautifully shot movie. I thought that was the best Michael Myers has ever looked on film, cinema-wise. And I love what they did with him in Ends. I mean, this is like a little monster in the background as this new monster, is terrorizing all of Haddon. And by terrorizing, I mean killing the people that were shitty to him or to Allison.
Yeah.
That's all he was doing. Okay. The Scarecrow mask, I wish I had one back here. That was a really cool mask. I like that. Anything else, Blake?
Nah, man, I got to take
31 days.
You did really good this month, brother. I'm proud of you. Lots of good reviews out there. Lots of creative stuff. Very proud of you for getting it done, especially the busy time of the year. Sweet week for you. So
It's sweet week. It's Sweeps Week, and thanks to everybody that's been watching, commenting, liking, all that stuff. We've only got a couple of months left in this year, Blake. We always take us a little break after 31 days. We'll be back with the riffs. We'll be back with the reviews, and we got Revenge of the Nerds coming soon, Blake.
November is P. Diddy's birthday, Ronnie. We got a lot of stuff planned for November. It's going to be fun.
Cherry blossoms, Blake.
Cherry blossom.